And they've come once, they've come second, they've come thrice. They are more. That's already a parasitic relationship.
What time did you get that light bulb that it seems design is not just a skill, it is now a career?
One thing I really wanted to do was go to university after secondary school, but I was unable to do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the TechWay podcast, where we have real conversations with people building, shaping, and redefining the tech space. I am your host, Samuel Idowu. Now, if you look at the typical tech career roadmap, you're often told that reaching leadership takes at least a decade of grinding and hard work. But on today's episode, it is all about breaking that rule, because we'll be diving into what I call the velocity strategy, and that is how you scale your career like a high-tech growth startup. Our guest today started his professional design journey back in 2021 as an intern right in the center of Lagos, Yaba. And fast forward to 5 years later, he has worked across multiple design agencies, shaped fast-growing tech startups, and is currently the lead brand manager of WeWire. He's known across the industry as designbyxam, and he has masterfully blended the heart of high-level motion design with international brand strategy to collapse the traditional career timeline. Joining me today to share his blueprint for rapid growth is the brilliant and none other than Samuel Idowu. Samuel Idowu, welcome to the TechWay podcast. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Don't be too humble. You can just express yourself. Okay, so right into the podcast today, I would like to ask, how did you find yourself into designing in the tech space?
Okay, so if we say designing in the tech space, I think it's kind of a funny scenario, because first of all, it all started from being idle. After graduating from secondary school, I had problems going to the university, so it had to be. I had to figure out what I wanted to do again, and that was basically designing. Because my dad signed me up for a lot of things to do, like how to fix laptops, how to design, how to run 3D modeling renderings, and my love for design started from there. And so I developed myself in very many various areas, personally. And funny enough, I was able to get my first ever job at an internship at the agency here in Lagos, which is called TechWay. And from then on, I started scaling, getting better at my work, got promoted twice from to a brand design role, then basically into a motion design role, because I always believe that evolving is the basis of man. Man is not meant to stay somewhere. Man is to continually evolve. So I continually learn skills, and funny enough, one day, just on a random day, I opened LinkedIn, and here was a message from LinkedIn saying, "Oh, hey Sam, would you like to join our company?" And that was how I joined my first ever tech group. Thank you.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. It's quite a journey right there. It might be short, but you experienced. That was an experience, and I'm sure it's very inspiring for many people that come across you, and even your profile and your portfolio. They'll be like, "Wow, that's an interesting journey." Now, I'd like to ask. You started your career back in 2021, if I am correct. Now, looking back at what was your biggest advantage as a beginner, what would you say was that advantage you had right as a beginner?
I think my advantage was good. I'm not going to say the other details than good, because I started my journey in a oversaturated field, and I would say God as a Christian will, but I also say diligence and a zeal for showing off my work and letting people know what I was doing. Like, I really did that a lot. It's something that has continually been a thing I do, And also, first of all, I'll say diligence. Diligence is something you always have to pay attention to. Having to make sure that no matter the price of the work, it is and will be your best work at that moment in time in your career. Second one was showing up, posting your work, because you cannot say you want to get to somewhere without showing who you are and what you do. So that was one thing I was constantly putting myself out there, and I still do to today. My last post was 2 weeks ago because I just started the new role. Was one of the major reasons. It's one of the major reasons why I have not shared anything. But you know what? Tonight I'm going to work on something tonight and share it again. And that's even when I'm even in the composure of your work most times. And also, finally, all unto God. Thank you.
Great diligence, showing off your work and all unto God. Interesting. So was there a moment in your career that light bulb hit that wait, it seems design could be the real serious career, not just a skill. Some people build design as a skill, just a side skill that I can have. For someone in the communications field, it's also a skill when you want to work in print. It's a skill where you have your
Yes.
own business and you want to be designing your own flyer and co. But what time did you get that light bulb that it seems design is not just a skill, it is now a career?
So, I'm so sorry if I'm being over spiritual and everything, but I would say the day the light bulb it was the day when I had to make a decision of going back to the university, or focusing on design. So, like I said, mentioned earlier, one thing I really wanted to do was go to university after secondary school, but I was unable to do it. And my major goal at that moment in time was to become an aeronautical engineer. It's still something that I fancy to today. But there was a day when I had a discussion with my parents right after I got my internship, and I think I had already been promoted into the brand design role. And they were asking me a question that, do you want to go back to university? And I was working. I was actually working and praying. And I asked God, God, what should I do? And the funny thing was, he said, whatever you are finding to do, do it well. And bro, that was when I realized that it's either I do this thing or it's dead. Because God has given me this today, and was all I just needed. That was the confirmation that I needed to do it. And I mean, there are various other things that I've done in my careers that is even greater than that moment in time. Like last year, I got the opportunity to what's the name? To work on an event for one of my favorite artists. Like it felt like the best validation I've ever had in my career. My girlfriend was there, she took pictures, she was smiling and everything. Shout out to Etsy. But at the end of the day, that encounter that I had with God about 3 years ago was when I knew that is either I'm very good at this thing or I'm not good at all in anything in my life. So yes, that's it.
Interesting. That was brief. So it's an encounter with God, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So many people say, or many people they spend years trying to get noticed. I mean, I'm sure there are so many people in this field that you're in that have been here for 10 years, 15 years, and they are still trying to stand out in this, like you said, oversaturated industry of design. What do you think helped you to grow quickly in the industry and get noticed?
So, on the first day of my internship, my lead at that moment in time, who is Finyadini, very one of the coolest person I've ever worked with, has been my lead. He told me one thing. He said, "Look at cool sheets." And look at cool sheets means that whatever I was looking at had to be the best. So you fall to the level of your systems, like Pastor Emmanuel Iren would always say. He say you fall to the level of your systems. So wherever you are is where you will be. So if this is what you are looking at daily, this is me giving a design scenario. If this is what you are looking at daily, you get into this area of your career. And when you get here, if this is what you are looking at, you get into this area. So the quick question and quick answer to that is who you are looking to matters a lot. Who you are defining yourself as matters a lot. That is the first thing. It's not about connection. You can connect with people, you can have the number of Tinubu today, but if you do not see yourself getting to that level at which Tinubu is, or yeah, I'm so sorry, I should just have used Tinubu. If you don't see yourself falling to that level at which Tinubu is, you won't get there. But if you see yourself, let's say, let me use Salem King. If you use Salem, think of Salem and you are thinking, okay, I want to do the level of work that Salem is doing. Once you start doing that with whatever available resources that you have, one way or the other, luck will always struck out for you. You cannot say you want to do mediocre work and expect to get into that level. First of all, build yourself, build the outlook and everything. Then secondly, you can now start the thing of connection, reaching out to people, working with people. At this stage in my career, I still do a lot of free works. I still do a lot of free works because it's not about the money, it's about what the work can open up for you. The doors that these works that you are doing, what they can open up for you. And this has opened up mighty many doors for me in different places in my career. Seeing people you want to work with, designing something for them, sending it to them, okay, this is what I can do for you if you work together. And you get feedback from them. Some might give you open doors, some might not give you open doors. That is it. Looking at it, looking onto who you want to be and running a race to going to get meet that person you want to be. So in design terms, look at good sheets. When you look at good sheets, you become a good sheet. Then from then on, connecting with people. When you are connecting with people, they are seeing the work that you are doing, and that gives you a leverage or understanding or a boldness for them to invite you to work with them on several other projects. And before you know it, it's a link by link by link by link by link situation. And that's it. That's it. But first of all, look at good sheets, become good sheets.
Interesting. But I would like to ask as a follow-up question, because many people take advantage of you trying to build yourself, you trying to look at OGs, you trying to put out your work out there. And I've encountered a lot of creatives that say, okay, they would come and say, do this one, don't worry, your work will get to the platform. How do you build that boundary of building quality free work and building or creating free work without equality? I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, because I'm sure that you've got people that will say, why don't you do this work? And then I'm sure that you will have a good return for it. People will promise you, with them seeing your zeal for wanting to do something, right? How do you now create that boundary between I am not just doing good work, I am doing a work that is free. I'm not just doing free work, I'm doing good work that can actually be quality work for me and my profession.
I think one of the key things about that is learning to say no. It is when you want to learn to say no is a bone you have to really build. Just like what's the name? The first thing we were taught in economics was scale of preference. Scale of preference was that you have a lot of things that you can do, but in a lot of things that you can do, you pick the one that are of most value to you at that moment in time, and you do it. If the work that you want to do for free does not give you, first of all, recognition, does not give you um, recognition, does not add value to you as a person, but just the person that you are working on, or does not put at least small chatting in your pocket, I don't think it's worth doing. If it does not give you recognition, I know they say recognition, what they say, I'll pay you in what's the name? I'll pay you in recognition. I can't remember the name. But if it is not giving you recognition, if it is not giving you a bit of value to your work that people can see, which also ties back to this, not giving you value, and if it is not really, and it is a parasitic relationship, most especially when the relationship between you and that person becomes most from place of parasitic instead of symbiotic to parasitic, then I don't think it is worth it. If they are the only ones getting every single thing, bro, I don't think it is worth it at all. And also, always have a cap for yourself. Let's say you offered a free work for someone once. I don't see a reason why you should be doing it twice. I don't see a reason why you should be doing it thrice, except you are taking that personal decision for yourself. You get me? But if your end goal is to get value out of this thing, and they've come once, they've come second, they've come thrice, they are more. That's already a parasitic relationship. It is not a symbiotic relationship anymore. So one key thing you want to do is, first of all, if you are not getting recognition for it, if you are not getting value for it, and another value part is looking more or less like a parasitic relationship where one side is the one enjoying all the benefit and the other side is enjoying nothing, then I think that is when you should call it a no. I really hope I'm answering your questions right, Anido.
Yes, you've answered perfectly. Okay, so another thing I would like to ask. So you've worked with multiple tech in the startups. You've worked in a fast chain or fast moving design agency that have also worked or branded tech startups, tech company. What is a misconception that designers have about working with tech startups, that when you started working with them, you realize that, okay, this is not the reality. This is different from what people have been saying, or especially when you're working with a startup. This is what people are saying, that designing for startups or tech space or tech brands is like this, but you realize that it is different when you started working with them. What are those misconceptions or misconception?
I think one key misconception that I've seen is that, let me ponder on this question for like 10 seconds, is that everything is easy. I think we all started our career hoping to get to a specific point in our career. Then when we get to that specific point, we do not push for anything else. And I think that is something that needs to be stopped. Let's say you're a brand designer now. When you came into the startup, you designed a brand identity for the startup. I mean, that brand identity is meant to live on for 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years, except something pivotal happens to the product of the company. You get me? Happens to the product of the company. Now you are doing that, you are just doing your social media, which is not yet something you are supposed to do. You are designing pitch decks, you are doing this thing. Your goal as a brand designer at that moment in time is not just to relax or chillax. It's to always constantly look what else can make the value or the look of this company better. You get me? The question you should always ask yourself is that a lot of people do not ask better of themselves when they are at a startup. They just want to relax and call it a day. But the question you must always ask yourself is, by 2026, I don't think you should be working with that same system or workflow anymore. And let's say with the evolution of AI and every single thing now, I think you should be able to learn to like bring things into the table. See, the thing is, you must always learn to become an asset for any company that you are working for. You must always and will always become an asset. You must become an asset that is worth the time of the company you are working for. And this is not slavery mentality. It is you positioning yourself in a place whereby even if you are poached, even if you are going to another place, where you are, you feel it. Thank you.
Interesting, very interesting. Okay, so what was the hardest lesson, or what has been the hardest lesson you have learned about managing people's expectations in your career? What is that lesson that you learned so hard when it comes to the expectations that people have placed on you in your career?
I think one of the expectations is that, do you mind repeating that question again? Because I think I got two direction vibes from it.
So, what has been the hardest lesson that you have learned about managing people's expectations in your career, or managing the expectations of people? And, or if, in fact, managing the expectations of people and managing people themselves when it comes to your career. Do you understand the
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I think one key thing I've learned is that if you are not ready to set a boundary or inform, people will tend to assume. If I'm a brand designer, I want to work on a logo, and they tell me that, okay, hey Sam, you need to work on this logo in 1 day, and I know it's going to take me 2 days or a month, and I'm not able to speak up, that over time becomes expected of you later on into the future, and it runs you dry. One thing you must always learn is to figure out a balance. There was something I learned in conflict resolution with my girlfriend, and that was always learning the balance. What does party A want? What does party B want? How can we find the balance? You must never let it veer off to each other's side. You must be able to communicate what is actually the right thing for you. Listen to that person, filter it, and come into a resolution. That is the best thing that I've learned in people's management, coming into a resolution that works with both parties. You must always learn to communicate. Communication is the bedrock of every good company. If you cannot communicate freely, then it's a problem. Yeah.
Great. Communication is the bedrock of every good company. So let's say you are taken into a new space right now, and a new platform. You already have your portfolio right now, but you are taken into a new space that first they don't understand what you're doing or what you've done in the past, and they do appreciate what design as a whole, but you are not coming in with your past record. How would you start up again? And what would your roadmap look like again when it comes to building yourself in an environment when it seems like, oh, you don't have the same profile, you don't have the same experience that you've had before? Or let's say you're coming with the experience, but you don't have the same profile like you've had before. How do you want to stand out in that environment? How do you think you stand out? And I'm pushing out this question for people that they are currently looking at how to stand out in their creativity. Probably they're designer and they just launched into the tech startup or tech space as a designer for tech brands, and they are looking at how to stand out, how to build. What would you say is a roadmap you would take to stand out and build yourself?
Do the things you want to be known for. Be diligent at doing the things you want to be known for, and relying on God. When I started designing, I did a lot of things. I did merch designs, I did typography. I didn't even understand that. I did not understand typography. at that moment in time. I still have little knowledge of it, which I'm currently learning about. But what I wanted to do was what I was doing. There was a time I came online and somebody did doing motion design. I started learning motion design too. I started putting in the hours, putting in the work for brand design. I would take screenshots of other people projects. Okay, why is this logo like this? Why is this thing like this? I go just they do how I go they do how because that was what I wanted to do. Because you will get to different positions in your life where people will dictate what you are meant to do. But if you do not know yourself for yourself, put in all your hours. Like when before I had my first work, I would wake up every morning by 6, 5. Because I was very fat. Funny enough, I've already grown fat back again. I would do my workouts. When I was done with my workouts, by 9 I was already at my table. By 12 I would pray to 1 because I was like also having a prayer time at that moment in time. By 2 p.m. I'm back. I'm already working till like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the nights. I will come online. I was doing the work I wanted to do. Second thing, I was also sharing it. I got a random idea, I would share it. Did the random thing today, I would share it. I would dedicate my hours to sharing. I became my own personal star. I looked at myself like, okay, I was someone. So first of all, do what you want to do. Put in the hours as much as you can. Share the work as much as you can. And see yourself like the person you want to be. Not who you are presently. See yourself as that person. This would be my roadmap. I tell everybody, okay, answer like just do these things. Do these 3 things. And finally, the fourth one, if you are religious or a Christian, get closer with God. He will just always constantly direct you. Thank you.
Interesting. Those were gems of advice. Now, rounding off, I'd like to ask you a few things. So you've worked with both startups and agencies. You've worked with tech startups. You've worked with design agencies. What lesson did each environment teach you while working in those fields?
Yeah. Because there are different alternating systems, I think they taught me one key thing: efficiency. At an agency, you are working on multiple projects at once. Today, you are working on a restaurant. Tomorrow, you are working on a Bible, a church design. Then tomorrow, you are working on a social media design. Like the various things I was doing there was a lot. But for a startup, you are taking one key project, one key piston, and pouring all your energy into it day and night without rest, without fail. What a startup taught me was efficiency and dedication. What an agency taught me was also efficiency and dedication. Because without these 2 things, you are lost. I was efficient, I was able to execute as fast as possible, and because of my dedication to each project that I was working on at that time, I was able to scale and get better at what I was doing. So yes, I think that's what both of them taught me.
Okay, so if a 19-year-old is listening to this podcast right now and wants to build a successful tech career as a designer, what is the first? Because I realize that you've been giving a lot of advice from the beginning of this episode to this moment. You've thrown a lot of advice, right? But someone that is just starting up, a beginner, a 19-year-old beginner, they're starting up right now. What advice would you give that person as they start right now? Or what advice would you even give your 19-year-old self, if I put it that way?
Funny enough, I started design a day before my 90-year-old birthday, October 2nd, 2019. I remember the day my dad, what's his name, signed me up for a design course. And the first thing, and the only thing I would say is have patience. Have patience. There is nowhere you would get in your career that you will not see people doing better than you. There is no way you would get in your career that you will not feel like you can do better. There is no way you would get to your career that you will not feel like, oh, you are you are not really putting in the work as much. But you know one key thing I usually do? Anytime, because I'm a brand designer, anytime I get impatient about where I am in my career, I look at the people that are better than me, the people that I look up to, and I go to their LinkedIn page and I search since when they have been working. And I will see that some of them have 10 years more experience than I do, 20 more years experience than I do. And I'm like, oh boy, you're still young. And this is me doing 7 years in design. Patience is a virtue. If you can hold on to patience and put in the work, but have patience that everything will work out as long as you are putting all the other advices that I've said, and putting in the work, doing this thing, but having patience that you are working towards a goal. That's 10 years from now, somebody will be your LinkedIn profile and be saying, did this, that looking at it and say, well, this guy has experience, so then yes, but patience is something that no one can sell to you. It is something that you with God will develop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those were amazing responses. We are so glad to have you right here on the TechWay podcast. And that is it from Samuel Idowu. It's still the TechWay podcast. It's still the TechWay podcast. Please like, subscribe. I'm sure you've learned a thing or two from this episode. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend about this episode. And I'm sure that you've learned a thing or two. Take all this advice that Samuel has shared with you, and if design is the industry you want to go into, you can also go into it. Samuel, please, can you share your where can we find you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok? Where are you on Twitter? Where can we find you?
That's the most efficient page for you to see a lot of my work, because that's where I share a lot of my work. But if you are looking for me on any other page, it is any other platform, LinkedIn and Instagram, it is also still Design by XAM. Design by XAM, an X instead of an S. So Design by Sam, but the S is an X. Thank you.
So Design by XAM. Design by XAM on Twitter, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Correct?
Yes, you are.
You're welcome. So that's a wrap from us on the TechWay podcast. It's so nice to have you here, and please stay tuned. We'll be back next time with another guest that you can learn from, grow from, and lead from. I remain your host, Samuel Idowu. Till next time. Bye-bye.